Hello, my name's Tom. In 2 days' time, I'm getting gynecomastia surgery. I'm sorry if it's a bit windy. I hope you can still hear me. I'm going to ramble a little bit. There's a bit of a plan, but I'm mainly just going to ramble about my experience with gynecomastia, how it's affected my life, and the process of the surgery that I'm having in a couple of days. So, yeah, I'm 28 years old. I've had gynecomastia since I was about 13. I think around 13, 14, not totally sure. I kind of just drifted into my awareness around that age when it was in school and you're kind of looking around at people in changing rooms and you realise you look a bit different, and a couple of people say a couple of things and it kind of burrows into your mind, and then as you get older you discover what it is and you discover why you've got it. And so I've had it since 13, 14, now 28, so I've had it a long time. I've known I wanted to get surgery for a really long time, and I guess I'm making this video because I remember when I first started searching for stuff online about other people's experiences and images before and afters and what the whole process is like, and I was kind of struck by the lack of first-hand experiences that were online. Of course, that's all changed now, but I remember at that point I kind of made a promise to myself, because it's there's a bit of a taboo around it, it's very male. Like I said, there's a lot more conversation about it now, but still it's this kind of thing that lots of people don't know about. So I wanted to, when I came to getting my surgery, I promised myself that I would share it and journal it and document it, in the hope that maybe another young man who's suffering with it can find some information or find some comfort, knowing that this isn't an abnormal thing, and then lots of other people have gone through it before him, and people will go through it after. So yeah, this video is the beginning of a promise that I'm keeping to myself and to people after. Also, I think just creating the video would be quite a productive use of energy. I think it'd be interesting to document it anyway. Good to talk. I'm doing this quite low key, under the radar. Not many friends, no friends know I have this. My brother does. He knows I've got it because he also had it, but my parents don't. I'm actually going to tell them tomorrow, the day before the surgery. So talking about this is probably going to be really healthy. So that's why I'm making the video. In terms of gynecomastia itself, it's I guess the definition of a first world problem, right? It is just a cosmetic thing. There are many worse ways to start life than with gynecomastia as a young man. However, the effect it has on self-confidence and self-image and feeling masculine really is massive as a young male. Like, the damage it can do is lasting, long-lasting, maybe even permanent. Here's a dog. Hello. This is the benefits of making a video in the park. Hello. First viewer. Bye. There's a little dog, sorry. What was I talking about? Yeah, self-confidence, self-worth. It affects so many things, from the simple benefit of being able to just take your t-shirt off, like such a kind of basic thing, the feeling of being masculine, showing your chest. You never get that if you have gynecomastia. Hello, sorry, bit stop-start. It might continue to be like this. So yeah, you don't take your top off. I don't think I've ever taken my top off in front of friends or family, unless it's like flipping freezing. And that, yeah, like you really internalize that. So that any time there's an event or an opportunity or a holiday where everyone else is going to be taking their top off, you don't go to that. You say no to things where you might have to take your top off, even if you really want to go. So you end up kind of alienating friends. You end up keeping friends at arm's length sometimes, and they can't understand. So sometimes they might say, do you want to come on holiday with us? We're going to go on holiday. We're going to go to this place with a beach or whatever. It's nice and hot, or there's a pool. And you kind of make up some excuse. You've got to lie. You've got to say some horrible thing. I'm ill, or my mum's ill, or something. I don't know, just something to get out of it, because you're not going to go, because going poses a threat. Like, going might mean you take your top off and people might see your chest, and everyone sees, and that's just the worst. That's like the worst possible outcome. Everyone sees your chest, so you'll do all you can to avoid those situations, over and over and over again, like for years. And you internalize that kind of fear around taking your top off. Like it's all right, it's better now, but a few years ago, like 18, 19, I had like just a dread of summer. I dreaded summer just because it was warmer and there's just more of these events, social events, reasons that people take the top off, and more reasons you're going to have to make up, more lies you're going to have to tell to your friends and family, the people you want to hang out with, about why you can't go. So yeah, just a really weird dread of summer as the season. I loved winter because everyone wears multiple layers and you can hide stuff and wear coats, and that's normal. But then in the summer it's different. You're expected to take your top off. You're expected to get a tan. You're expected to wear thin clothing and wear vests and all that stuff. And not being able to do that's hard. And it affects other things as well. It affects like life decisions. It's really affected like the course of my life. I remember in school, in GCSE, which is kind of 16 in the UK, when we were picking subjects, our next set of subjects we wanted to do, and I was really sporty. If I didn't have gynecomastia, I would have picked PE, physical education, and you never know where I might have gone with that, because I loved sport. But if I picked PE, I would have had to take my top off, because part of that was swimming. They did a swimming module or whatever, where everyone goes to the local swimming pool and you've got to take your top off. And therefore, there was no chance of me picking PE. Just zero chance. Even that's what I would have picked, that first choice. That was the thing that was most interested in me. And I didn't, because of the gynecomastia. And there's lots of examples like that. That's a very kind of clear-cut one, but there's lots of examples where it's just affected your decision-making, because the protection of that secret and the protection of your chest is, you internalize that as that's kind of like your internal compass for decision-making for all kinds of things. And it's just bollocks. Like, it's so hard, because it's just always coming from a place of fear and insecurity and hiding away and keeping people at arm's length, and it's bad, it's hard, and it happens at such a key stage in life, 13, 14, 15, and any time in life it would be hard, but such a key moment in life where you're discovering about yourself and you're setting your trajectory in life in many ways, and the tone of it, the tone of that period of your life is one of negativity and insecurity, and that does a lot of damage. I know it's damaged me, I know it's damaged my brother, and it seems to have damaged all the people I read about online in the same way. It's also affected, this is a big one as well for me, my ability to develop like romantic relationships with women. I was so insecure about taking my top off that I was so scared that getting close to girls and women who were even interested in me, and I was interested in them as well, I was so scared that pursuing that relationship would present a moment where I'd have to take my top off and be shamed in front of this girl that I find fit. So I just checked out. I just said, well, I'm not going to try and I'm just going to happily stunt my emotional relationship part of my life. I'm just not going to pursue it. Or if I am going to kind of go out and try and meet girls, I'm just going to have to be really drunk to do it. And I'm going to have sex with them, I'm going to have to be really drunk, because I just lose all inhibitions, and if I can't fucking think, then I won't mind taking my top off. Which in turn just develops into a really bad habit, because it's like, well, the only way I can meet girls is if I'm just battered. The only way I can get laid is if I'm battered. And you internalise that as well. You internalise that kind of bad relationship, that bad association with drinking and with women and with being naked and these things that should be so normal and free and fun. There's a kind of negative, there's a shadow over it almost. And that's definitely impacted me. I haven't really been able to kind of form any long-term like relationships with girls, because it's just, I've just told myself for so long that I'm not trying to be in a relationship with anyone. I'm just not going to try it because of just I'm insecure, I'm anxious, I'm depressed about the way my body looks, and it's just easier and safer to just not try and meet girls. And yeah, so these are, I guess, the main challenges for me. There's probably loads more, but of course clothing, actually another one. The classic t-shirt of a boy with gynecomastia. A black baggy t-shirt. I'm sure if you're watching this, you know exactly what I mean. You'd be surprised. I might actually try and put a photo up here. I'm going to start pointing at the screen and try and drop some images in maybe. You'd be surprised, or maybe you wouldn't be surprised if you're watching this, at how many of my t-shirts are black or dark grey or dark navy and baggy. It's basically my wardrobe. And it's all because that protects against the silhouette, protects against the shape of having gynecomastia, of having that shape. So yeah, it affects that. I'm so looking forward to just being able to like wear a white t-shirt, a slightly fitted, God, heaven forbid, a slightly fitted white t-shirt or white shirt, or a light blue or something. I don't know, just not black. So many black items of clothing, and it all comes from 95% comes from gynecomastia. It just affects your life in so many ways. So what else was I going to talk about? So surgery. So I wanted to have surgery for a really, really long time. Never truly pursued it properly until the last 6 months. There was a brief period in uni where I tried tamoxifen, which is what I think bodybuilders use if they get gynecomastia from steroid use. To be honest, it was quite a short cycle of it that I used. I've never used steroids, but the tamoxifen, bought online, and I used it, and nothing happened to the gynecomastia. One, I don't think I tried it. I don't think the course was long enough anyway. And two, I've since found out that apparently the gynecomastia you get kind of biologically through puberty doesn't go away from tamoxifen. It's I think a different type of gynecomastia. It's more, I don't know the key science. I don't know the science behind it, but I think it just doesn't. It only removes the kind of the newly formed gynecomastia someone might get from steroid use. So that didn't do anything. I've done all kinds of things actually. So I've worn spandex, kind of like compression things under shirts on nights out, and I've taped my nipples before to kind of make them flat, like kind of sellotape. I have used, there was a cream that was meant to like cool it and keep it hard and flat. which didn't really work. I've used it's pretty extreme. I've used super glue. So before I'd go on a night out or before I'd wear something tight, I would get my nipple really cold, have a cold shower, and then I'd super glue my nipple. I'll literally apply it to the skin to hope it holds it in place, in shape. But that didn't work either. Once you came out into kind of body or room temperature, it would expand back again. It'd just be covered in super glue, and then you have to peel it off, and it's really painful. So I've done all kinds of weird things, but I knew you find out quickly that that surgery is the only true fix, and that's a pretty depressing realization, especially if you're quite far away from that financially, because it's an expensive thing. Well, I've never had surgery, plastic surgery before, but it's not cheap. So yeah, you realise that surgery is the only way to do it, and so COVID happened. And I was one of the lucky ones, really lucky, super grateful to be able to that it's landed like this. The cards have fallen quite well for me. So I kind of moved back with my parents, I was living in London, and COVID happened. I moved back and I managed to save loads of money. I maintained my job, working remotely, just on a laptop, and I could save money. And gynecomastia had always been on the top of my list in terms of things I need to do, like in life. And the money I saved during COVID, suddenly, okay, it's time for surgery. It's time for surgery now. Yeah, I've saved up some money. Let's do it. So, the process of finding a surgeon. So I live just quite close to London, and thankfully there are lots of surgeons in London, lots of really good ones, I think. So I sent out. It took a long time to actually kind of get over to actually start sending stuff out. I was still just quite hesitant. I held myself back. I was quite self-critical. I was worried about change, because that's one of the big things about gynecomastia. It instills a fear of change, because change might mean you're in a new place where you might have to take your top off, or you get used to controlling your environment and keeping it as small and safe as possible. So you develop a kind of fear and a hesitation when it comes to change, even if the change relates to fixing the gynecomastia. So I sent out some inquiries to these. So I did lots of Googling. As a baby, did lots of Googling, and I found 3 surgeons in London that I would approach, and I would compare and contrast these three surgeons to each other, because they seemed pretty good, kind of top of the pile, and good in terms of my price range. So I went for 3, and I had a email conversation with all 3. So it happened kind of one A, then B, then C. It wasn't all at the same time. So, but I'd email them, and then I'd have a brief interchange, and then because it was COVID and the travel restrictions and the health restrictions, I had a kind of video WhatsApp calls with the consultant initially. I'd take my top off and explain my situation, explain who I am, just a quick chat, nothing more than 5-10 minutes. And they'd say, okay, this happened with all of them. Okay, yeah, we can see you've got gynecomastia. Next thing to do is you're gonna come in for a physical checkup, a physical consultation. We're gonna really talk through your medical history, how it's affected you. We're going to investigate the gynecomastia. We're going to feel it and feel where the lumps are, and work out what the plan of attack is. And so I did that. So that happened with all 3, and all 3, surprise, surprise, confirmed that I did have gynecomastia, because I think some people maybe mistakenly think they have it. But I definitely had it. My gynecomastia is quite minor. I'll show now. This is something I will show. So here's some photos or some videos, or I'll make it work on the screen somehow. I have, compared to other cases I've seen online, and compared to my brother's experience, I have really minor gynecomastia. It's basically just puffy nipples. I am not going to need liposuction. It's just purely gland removal. So I guess I'm really lucky in that sense, because I've seen some guys who've just had really shit luck, like my brother. So mine's quite minor, and it's. I'm sure there's probably other guys with more serious gynecomastia who might look at my case and think, you ungrateful fuck, like I'd do anything for your case. But in my mind it's terrible, and I think that's actually one of the painful things about this gynecomastia experience, is that it's so much of it is just mental projection. Like, it's just really bad in our heads. It really isn't. Most people wouldn't give a fuck or even notice in some cases. I might be lucky enough that some people might not even notice. Some people they would notice, and then fair play, try and deal with that, that's okay. But I do know that my experience is loads worse because I make it worse myself. I tell myself that it's bad. I tell myself that I can't start living until I have this surgery. I can't do X, I can't do Y. Like, I'm carrying all this mental baggage and trauma. That's what it is. It is trauma, I think, from having gynecomastia. But still, I mean, even if it is just an internal suffering, it's still suffering, at least by one measure. So sorry, I'll go back to the surgeon. So I'm bouncing around loads. I'll get better at this. So the surgeon himself, the guy I've decided to go for, he's on Harley Street in London. So Harley Street is quite famous, at least in the UK, for being the home of it's a street with lots of individual plastic surgeons and surgeries. I think the standard is just quite good of all of these places. I'm sure some are quite shit, as with anything, but it's the kind of home of plastic surgery in the UK, and definitely London. So I identified a thing called the Harley Body Clinic. I'll put a link somewhere underneath, or I'll do it after. I'll do it in another video. But this guy on Harley Street, I think it's Harley Body Clinic, and he suggested that this is the course of action. We're going with just gland removal, not liposuction. I don't need liposuction. I've got quite low body fat. And we're going to hopefully it's just the gland removal and then good recovery after, and it will just be looking normal. That's the plan. So the surgery itself, it's under local anaesthetic. I know that's different to American, in lots of the American examples I've watched. I think it might just be a general approach to surgery. It's just a difference in approaches, because loads of the ones I've seen are general anaesthetic that put you completely to sleep, pump you full of sedation, which I'm not judging that. I think that's quite nice to just go to sleep and wake up and it be done. But in the UK, it's just local anaesthetic, so I'm going to be fully awake for the whole procedure, which I think takes about an hour. And yeah, so I'm going to be out the same day. So I'm going to take a train down on myself, and then I'm going to come back the same day on the train, because I live the way the trains work. It's quite convenient for me. I don't have to drive or get a cab or anything. So yeah, I'm going to leave the same day, come back, and then I'm going to be working the next day, just at my desk. But that's the plan. And yeah, and then it'll be 6 weeks of following the kind of the recovery process. Compression vest, of course it changes as the time goes on, but compression vest, changing some bandages, sleeping on my back, maybe slightly elevated, avoiding booze and fags and drugs and all the fun stuff. Yeah, and then as this process goes on, I'll make more videos. I'll do what lots of other people have done, kind of do it landmark videos, so 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, show you how it's going, and I guess answer any questions. We can kind of connect and share some stories and bond over our hormonal imbalances as teenagers and the stress, the angst it's caused all of us. I hope this was somewhat coherent. Probably wasn't, but I will put some links in the video description, and I will get better as this goes along. I don't know how many I'm going to do. It's probably not. It'll be a finite number. But I'm happy to answer questions if you've got any. If you want to share any thoughts, or if I haven't elaborated on something enough, which I probably haven't, please feel free, give me a shout, nudge me in the comments or in a private message or something. Yeah, it's gonna be okay. I'm looking forward to it. Bit nervous because it's been this big boogie thing on my shoulder for most of my life, and now I'm a couple of days away from getting it removed. So I'm really looking forward to that feeling of coming out of it. Very nervous, of course, because I want it to go well. I don't want any complications. I want to be happy with the outcome. But I've entrusted myself. I'm trusting the process. I'm trusting my own kind of decision making. I'm trusting. Yeah, I believe it will be okay. I'm just got to do it. It's very big. It's a big monumental moment in my life, and I'm keen to come out the other side and to share the experience and share how it went. So until then, I'm going to stop rambling. Until then, peace out. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video.